Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? Of course, my name is Kent and the channel is EOS San Diego. And I make a nightly video about the EOS blockchain. And tonight's a perfect reason why I make these videos every single day, every single night. Because things happen very quickly. As we can see with Bitcoin and EOS, the market is raging. So as I predicted, things were going to go much higher, and they have gone much higher. But the reason I make these videos every night is because things go so fast in this space that you almost got to keep up with it nightly yourself to know what's going on, and I have to stay up myself or else I can't make good content. So the reason I do this is because I want to make good content, and I want to let people know my analysis of what's happening. And of course, if they agree or disagree, they listen to my analysis, and I am keeping up with it, and I watch it every single day. And tonight is I've been waiting for this video all day, been anticipating this video. And I got to honestly tell you, some nights it's harder to make a video than other nights, because some nights there's not really a lot of content. And of course, if the price is down or things aren't going very well, I have to create content, because I do it every single night. But tonight I was anticipating this happening, what's happened right now. And I was waiting for this video because I knew that this was going to happen, and it has happened exactly as I had thought it was going to happen. I'm going to explain a little bit more of what I'm saying. I'm not only saying the price goes up or went up as I have been predicting, but why this happened. It's very interesting to me as I watch a lot of other YouTubers, especially the Bitcoin YouTubers. Now that the price has gone up significantly, now they're anticipating a pullback because they're watching charts. So they're seeing charts, charts are going up, and now they're looking at all the charts, and they go, wow, we got charts, I'm going to compare it to a year ago, and this is what happened in 2017, and blah, 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 blah. I'm not a chartist. I don't put very much stock in charts. I don't put very much value in charts. There's a lot of people that build YouTube channels off of just looking at charts. I don't put that much emphasis in charts. The reason I don't is because what I look at when I decide what to buy or not to buy is, and I'll give you what I think of, what I look at. Number one is who's involved. That's the most important thing anytime you're making an investment, who is involved. And I remember back when I was a broker, a very seasoned broker told me one time, don't tell me the numbers, I just want to know who's involved. I could care less about the numbers. Tell me who's involved. Because successful people tend to be successful in the future. So if you're successful in the past, you've got a good track record, that tends to follow you in the future. So the very first thing you got to look at is who's involved. And of course, in the case of EOS, there's some very good people involved. And that's one of the reasons why I love EOS, and I think it's a great investment. The second thing you look up is you look at the news. I know a lot of people say the news is not relevant because there's so much fake news out there, but you still look at the news, the relevant part of the news, not the part of the news that isn't relevant, but the relevant part of the news. And the most successful investor of all time, I talk about him quite a bit on this channel, is Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, for the last however many years he's been investing, has done one thing. He doesn't go fly around the world and visit people or do things like this and check things out. He reads newspapers every single day. Warren Buffett has an office in Omaha, Nebraska. He drives from his house to his office, goes to his office, and reads all day long. And what he reads is newspapers. That's all Warren Buffett does. He reads newspapers, and he knows what's going on in the news. So if you want to look at why Bitcoin and EOS are going up right now, you have to look at the news, because that's going to tell you what's going on. And what's going on is a U.S.-China trade deal. It has fallen apart. So in other words, the United States is ready to impose a 25% tariff on all product coming into or some product, or most product, I don't even know how they have figured out what they're going to tariff, but I think they're going to tariff quite a bit, is coming into the United States. So anything that's on a ship in China, or in China right now, headed this direction, it's going to get a 25% tariff, or if it's in their tariff, it's going to be a 25% tariff, which is huge. That's a huge tariff. And of course, there's a trade war going on between the two largest economies in the world, the United States and China. And that is why cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin are taking off right now. Not because of charts or anything like that. It's because of this trade war that's going on with the US and China. One of the main reasons. Big news. And I want to talk about that a little bit because I've talked about it in the past. When you think of tariff, think one thing. You think of tax. Just every time you hear the word tariff, just replace it with the word tax. And that's what it really is. It's a tax on the US consumer. And the administration claims to be very business-minded. And when you're in business and your costs go up, you pass it along to the consumer. They're the ones that always pay the price. The business doesn't pay the price because the business doesn't pay the price because the business doesn't absorb costs, especially 25% costs. They have to pass it along to the consumer. If they don't pass it along to the consumer, they don't stay in business. So when you have a tariff, 25% tariff on items coming from China, who's going to pay the price? It's going to be the U.S. consumer is going to pay the price. And the interesting thing to me, they'll just pass it along. When you raise something up 25%, you can't adjust for that in China. That's a huge hit. You don't all of a sudden reorganize and streamline the business, make the product that much cheaper. It's impossible to do. You can't all of a sudden make that drastic change that quickly. This would be years trying to figure out how to shave 25% off of your product cost. And believe me, it's not like China's just reaping tons and tons of benefit off this too. It's that there's an idea out there among the administration, and I won't mention his name, that somehow China is imbalanced with the trade, and that they're reaping this huge amounts of money that now we could just take away in tariff. And then the money goes to the U.S. Treasury. So it doesn't go back to the American people, it goes back to the U.S. Treasury, and then the U.S. Treasury runs at a deficit. So who knows what happens to it? Maybe it's just gobbled up in the deficit. So it never benefits the U.S. people, but they're the ones that are going to pay the price, not the manufacturers in China. They'll just pass the cost along. But the reason why this is so important is because this trade war going on with the United States and China is creating a currency issue too. Because you have currency issues, because you have trade issues, currency issues and trade issues, and the fact that there's this conflict going on right now is causing some really instability in the world, instability in the yen, instability in the dollar, and people are looking for ways of perhaps having another way of exchange, which would obviously be Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, EOS and everything else. So that's why I think the price is raging right now. It's raging because of this war going on between the United States and China, the trade war, the 25% tariffs that have already been enacted, I guess. But the goods here haven't been tariffed yet because the goods have to be coming from China yet. That is the reason, the instability. The raising of the 25%, the taxes, basically this is a tax on the U.S. economy, which I think will hurt the U.S. economy. It's not going to help trade. It just causes more burden on the United States economy. And of course, the United States economy is very vital because of the fact that the U.S. dollar has been world currency of the world. Now you've got the world currency of the world being jeopardized by the fact that it may lose quite a bit of its trade. When Chinese products, like let's for instance soybeans, if you're a soybean farmer right now, you're taking a hit because China's not buying your soybeans because of these trade wars and tariffs going on. They'll just go in someplace else. So good chance that they're going to develop another source of soybeans that isn't going to be the U.S. farmer. It's going to be somebody else. It's going to be farmers in Argentina. It's going to be farmers in some other part of the world, Brazil, wherever they raise soybeans. Huge producers of soybeans around the world. They'll find another source, and these are not coming back. So if the United States loses these buyers of soybeans, they'll probably never get them back. And this is going to be a huge drain on the U.S. economy. So I think the U.S. economy is in trouble because of these tariffs, and I think they're going to eventually have to not do this because we live on a global economy. You can't all of a sudden start penalizing people and expect to do global trade because people will tend to stay away from doing business with you if they know that anytime you decide that you don't like what's going on, or you think that there's an imbalance, or you think that things are just quite the way you like them, you just slap 25% tariffs on them, and then you have the U.S. the U.S. consumer eat it because they have to lose a trade, like the U.S. soybean farmers losing trade, and they have to pay more for things coming in because it's 25% more expensive for them to bring it to the United States. This is a big problem. This is what's causing cryptocurrencies to go up. I think it's going to continue, and this is why I was excited to make this video tonight, because I saw this coming, and I've talked about it in previous videos. I've talked about how I'm against the tariffs and how I'm against trade wars, because I think they hurt everybody. And it's like any other war. I mean, just the word war and the word prosperity don't go well together. War and prosperity do not work well together. Those two words are completely opposites. They're polar opposites of each other. War is conflict. War drains. War sucks energy. War takes away. It doesn't add. It doesn't benefit. So when you do trade war, you're talking about a negative. You're not talking about a positive. When you're talking about trade, you're talking about positive. When you talk about trade war, you're talking negative. So this is a very big problem. I think this is what's causing cryptocurrencies to go up, and I see more of it in the future. So this is why I'm so excited about all the cryptocurrencies. Not only EOS, not only Bitcoin, I'm excited about all of them because I think there's a big future ahead. The other thing I was going to mention tonight is I was going to mention, of course, Safeguard EOS. Please, if you haven't joined that channel on Telegram, join that channel. A lot of good information there. If you're concerned about safety on the blockchain, concerned about safety, about if you should do something or not do something or how to do it, there's a very good resource right there for you. Safeguard EOS. I'll put the link below. I see a lot of people starting to join that channel. Please join that channel. And we also have a fund. Somebody asked me about the fund too, because we have raised a little bit of money, just a very little bit of money, a very few I think less than a few $100s, for people that want to donate to that to help us, to be able to do stuff like create resources for people that have lost EOS and be able to help people, maybe even give some back, some EOS that people have lost. That's what we were trying to do. But I realized at the time that we started that fund that the market was very bad. So when you're talking with people that have very, very little bit to have made basically nothing and have lost quite a bit in the market, they're not so willing to give extra EOS to help somebody else out. But since we no longer have the Constitution, we no longer have some of the safeguards that we had before, or that we ever had. I don't know if we ever really had it work very well, but we need to have some resource to help protect people, and also some fund to help protect people too. So that's still there. It's called Safeguard EOS. You can look it up on the EOS Flare. I'll put a link to that below too. So anyway, thank you for watching. I appreciate it very much.